In a ruling that is raising eyebrows across the country, a judge has reduced the prison sentence for a convicted sex offender, citing the man's race and cultural background as key mitigating factors. Magbalan Jejed, who goes by the name Teddy, a 25-year-old former university football player originally from Nigeria, was found guilty of sexually assaulting two women at St. Francis Xavier University in Nova Scotia. The assaults happened in 2022 and 2023, both in university residence, and involved violent acts that left the victims traumatized. Now, let's take a look at the details. In one incident, Teddy choked a woman until she was nearly unconscious before assaulting her. In another, he forced the woman to perform sexual acts while physically controlling her movements. Both victims felt the feeling of being overpowered by Teddy, who is significantly larger than both of them. And they weren't isolated events either. They occurred about 5 months apart in similar circumstances, which the judge noted as potentially concerning, suggesting that Teddy could pose a danger. Now, Teddy moved to Canada in 2010 at the age of 11. He grew up in a strong church-going family, excelling in school and sports. But according to court documents, he struggled with isolation as a Black man in a predominantly white town. He told assessors, quote, "I grew up around Black people in Brampton and Fort McMurray. Many of them were immigrants, which allowed us to relate to each other on many levels, especially culture. It was like that until I moved to Nova Scotia to attend university." The turning point in sentencing came from an impact of race and culture assessment, or an IRCA, a pre-sentence report funded by the federal initiative under the Trudeau Liberals. The report highlighted how racism, discrimination, and a lack of cultural support impacted Teddy's life. It pointed to his declining mental health, poor academic performance, and absence of mentors during his university years. His parents had hoped that his football coach would fill that void, but it didn't happen. Justice Frank Hoskins of the Nova Scotia Supreme Court sentenced the accused to 2 years in federal prison, 18 months for the more violent assault and 6 months for the other, followed by 3 years of probation that could be shortened with good progress in counseling. Now, the Crown had pushed for up to 36 months, while the defense wanted a community-based sentence without any jail time at all. But Hoskins rejected that, saying, quote, "In my view, this is a case where the need for denunciation is so pressing that incarceration is the only civil way in which to express society's condemnation of Mr. Jejed's conduct." Still, the judge emphasized the IRCA's role, stating, quote, "It should be noted that but for the contents of the IRCA, the pre-sentence report, and all of the mitigating factors surrounding the accused, this sentence would have been much higher." He also called the IRCA invaluable for understanding Teddy's vulnerabilities from a social and cultural perspective. Aggregating factors like the violence and invasiveness of the assaults were weighed against mitigators such as Teddy's youth, family support, and rehabilitation potential. Hoskins even suggested Teddy could be a strong candidate for early parole. This case highlights broader tensions in Canada's justice system. IRCAs, introduced in 2021, aim to address how systemic issues like poverty and marginalization influences offenders, especially those from racialized communities. But critics argue that it risks downplaying the severity of crimes against victims, particularly in sexual assault cases. As debate rages on, balancing equity with accountability, this ruling underscores the evolving role of cultural assessments in sentencing. Back to you.